Alright, so the video today is inspired by the show on A&E, Beyond Scared Straight. There's a little boy on there, he's about 15 years old, and he goes through the little program, and at the end of the program, you know, his parents still don't trust him, and he has to take a drug test every month to win back their trust, or, you know, to prove to them that he's not doing drugs. And I started thinking, like, my parents didn't have that kind of time when I was 15 years old to drug test me every month. Like, all some of these kids really need, they don't really need to go to prison, you know, to be scared straight. Some of these kids, these problems can be remedied at home with just a good old fashioned ass whooping. I'm not talking about like no ordinary ass whooping. I'm talking about a nice good one, something that you can have flashbacks on right when you about to do something wrong. Like, you can still taste it 20 years later. The blood's in your mouth. You're like, that, you know what? November 5th, 1991, that was a good ass whooping that I got. And I'm not going to do what I was just about to do because it might get me another ass whooping. So I'm not going to do it. And that's what everybody needs sometimes. When you don't want to pay attention, you just need a nice, old-fashioned, good, healthy ass whooping. And it'll set you straight. All you really need in your whole lifetime is probably about 3 if you're normal. You know, because the one just set you straight for a year. And then the second one, it sets you straight for about 5 years. And some people just don't even need one after that. They good. I was at work, and I remember a guy telling me about when he was 6 or 7 years old. And he said he was 6 or 7, and he was at a little kid's birthday party. He was at a birthday party because he was a little kid. 6 or 7, and a little girl walked up to him and said, "Do you want to go have sex in the bathroom?" He's 6 or 7 years old. He just say, "Okay." And he follows the little girl in the bathroom. They get in the bathroom. They take down, he said they didn't get fully naked. They just took down their pants and their underwear. And they turn sideways. You know, they were back to back, and they were butt to butt like this. And he said they started putting their butt together. I know y'all don't want to see my butt, but to reenact it, this is what they did. Oh. And he got butt to butt, and they just started wiggling their butt, rubbing their butts together, and that was sex. And he said, while this was going on, his mother busts into the bathroom, looks at the little boy, looks at him, looks at the little girl. And when she looked at the little girl said, "Miss So-and-so, he made me do it." Said his mother pushed the little girl out the room. Yeah, she still got her pants down. Pushed the little girl out the room, closed the door. He said his mother whooped his ass for about 5 good minutes. 5 minutes of an ass whooping is an eternity. It feels like 2 hours. 5 minutes. 5 minutes can feel like 2 hours when you're getting your ass whooped. He said to this day, because he went to school with the little girl. He went to, like, you know, elementary. He went to middle school. He went to high school. You know, he still knows the little girl. He said, to this day, I hate that little girl. I got my ass whooped so good. And he was 7 years old. He's like 40 now, telling me this story. He said, I remember it like it was yesterday. That's how good it was. And to this day, whenever I see that girl, the memories of that ass whooping come back. And he said, I hate her for it. And I'll never forget it. He said he don't even like birthday parties. Because when he think about a little kid's birthday party, he thinks about that ass whooping that he got. That's the type of ass whooping some of these kids on Beyond Scared Straight need. Got another story for you. My father. It's another thing to get ass whooping by somebody, and you know, you get your ass whooped by them, and then they tell you about one time when they got their ass whooping. You like, ooh. Yeah, I wanna know all about this story. So we sitting around one day. He was like, y'all think I'm bad. He was like, I'm really not that bad. I'm just, you know, regular. He's like, when I was growing up, I got my ass whooped when I was like 17, 18. So what y'all going through ain't nothing. I don't even want to hear y'all complain, because I got my ass whooped when I was 17, 18. So he said one day, he was 17 or 18. He walked in the house. This is his mother's house. He walked in the house, and to get to his bedroom, you got to go through the kitchen. And the kitchen was a small kitchen, and there's a gap that he's trying to get through that's about that big because my grandmother's in the way. I wish to say she's in the way, but she's at the stove cooking. And to get past her, he either got to go through this little gap and squeeze through, or he could have just said, "Excuse me." That's all it would have taken. And she would have let him, let the troll pass. All you got to do is say, "Excuse me." He didn't want to do it. And she's a nice size lady, she's nice size. She's not, she's a nice size. So she's gonna feel you trying to squeeze past her. You're not gonna just walk past her going this way. You're gonna have to, turn sideways and kind of. So he said he turned sideways and he trying to, get up in there. And he don't want to have to say excuse me. He grown. Okay. She said she turned around and they looking at each other. They face to face looking at each other. And she says, "Were you gonna say excuse me?" And he said, he just looking at her. And he said, "I must have took too long to answer, or she didn't even like what I was going to say, because all of a sudden she just slapped me." And this is when it got funny. He said, like in the cartoons, on your Looney Tunes, when the head go all the way around. He said, "She slapped me so hard that my head went all the way around." It didn't do a 360 though. It did like a 358 or a 357. Didn't go all the way around. So his neck was still kind of like this because it didn't come all the way back around. He said she must have felt bad that she did it. So to make the situation right, she took the backhand and slapped him the other way to get his neck all the way back around to get his head straight. He said for about 2 weeks, 2 weeks out of his life, this is all he heard. Morning, noon, and night. From being slapped like that. At 17, 18 years old, this is all he heard. He said from that point on, she never had a problem with me. Never had a respect problem out of me, ever. He said from that point on, it was yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes your majesty, yes your honor, excuse me, pardon me, whatever you can think of, that's what he said, because he didn't want to get slapped like that again. That's what it takes sometimes. This little girl on Beyond Scared Straight had braces. Now, as soon as I see braces on a little kid, that means that their parent cares. Because if your parent didn't care about you, braces are expensive. They would have just said, screw your teeth, let you have a yuck mouth. They don't care. But the little girl got braces, out there fighting, disrespecting her mother. And this goes for male and females. Sometimes, see the little girl, and she was scared as soon as she got there. She really didn't need to be there. All she needed was her mother to just go off. To the point where, you're getting your ass whooped and you start seeing that white light and you're like, can this lady please get off me? Like, I think I'm about to die. That's all she needed. She didn't have to take a Saturday out of her life to take her to prison and to get her scared straight. You can get them scared straight in the home and save yourself a Saturday. And the ass whooping will be so good, you ain't got to worry about them calling the cops or leave or running away. Because all they going to do after they get their ass whooped is just lay there and just think. That's what you do after a good ass whooping. You just lay. Sometimes you ain't even got enough energy to cry. They done beat the cry out of you. You just laying there. Just looking at your bruises or just thinking like, I thank God I'm alive. Because that was a revolutionary ass whooping that I just got. I got to get myself together.